Hello, and welcome to Good Burger Reviews. Today we're doing a very special Halloween presentation. We are going to rank all 13 Halloween movies from bottom to top. I ended up finding the Halloween franchise at a very young age because I stumbled onto watching the older ones that were airing on cable all the time when I was a young child. And let me tell you what, they scared me. Halloween 2, I believe, was the first one I watched, and I started watching it halfway through, and we were deep into that hospital setting with Michael Myers roaming around chasing Jamie Lee Curtis and stabbing the heck out of the hospital staff. And I was hooked. And I know I ended up seeing the first one and then the fourth one and the fifth one, and I watched all of them. So I never saw the first 6 movies in the theater, and this might weigh on how my ranking plays out. I guess we'll find out. But the first movie I saw of the Halloween franchise in the theater was Halloween H2O in 1998. Because by then, I was over the age of 18 and able to see rated R movies. And of course, ever since then, every Halloween, Resurrection, all the zombies, all the new ones, I saw in the theater and enjoyed my experiences. So I will say, I love the Halloween franchise. Of the big 3, they're, when I think of Friday the 13th, Halloween, and A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween is beating A Nightmare on Elm Street by like a nose when it comes to franchise to franchise, and then Friday the 13th comes after those two. Just because I probably watched more Halloween and Nightmare when I was younger and got into Friday as I got older. But the Halloween franchise has been one that's jumped around and had lots of restarts, reboots, and all that. And I think about all those things when I think about how I rank the entire franchise. So I think about the timeline and I think about each individual entry as well. So with no further ado, let's get into the ranking. That's what y'all here for, right? Coming in at number 13, released in 2009, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Overall, enjoy this movie. I love all the Halloweens. The Rob Zombie ones, as you'll find, are going to be lower in my ranking just because, for me, it's just it was a swing and a miss as far as a Halloween. Now, I will say the positives on Halloween 2 is it's intense, it's scary, it's gory, but it takes the characters down a different route that I guess wasn't used to at the time. And I do appreciate Brad Dourif playing Officer Brackett. I think he is the standout in Halloween 2. I also like Danielle Harris as Annie Brackett. And I do actually like Scout Taylor Compton playing Laurie Strode. But what I didn't like is definitely the white horse. I mean, maybe that seems to be everyone's gripe with this one. And Sheri Moon Zombie, like Michael Myers' mother coming back as a ghost, and this whole white horse theme that was in it, it just, for me, was a swing and a miss. It didn't have like a Halloween vibe with that stuff. Michael Myers gives me a Halloween vibe, but the horse and Sheri Moon, they just weren't it. Coming in at number 12, released in 2007, Halloween, the Rob Zombie reboot. Now, I do remember seeing this one in theaters, and I was super pumped for it, super excited. Rob Zombie had just done all the Devil Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses. He was running on a good streak. However, his take on Halloween for me was definitely a mix and very divisive. So on first view of this whole really delving into Michael Myers' past, seeing, the roots behind the evil, going back to Smith Grove and the psychiatric hospital and all that stuff, you know, in the thought I did like that, but at the end of the day, it kind of became too much of a drama and more of like a psychological drama and less of a horror, at least in that front end. Now, Rob Zombie obviously does horror, but the thing is, what made me mixed also about the 2007 Halloween was I just couldn't get used to how intense, like, redneck, white trash the characters were. They just were too much of what he was doing with like the House of a Thousand Corpses, those types of characters that were present in Halloween. So like when we look at the Myers and how they were when Laurie Strode was a baby and Michael Myers was young, I just I struggle with that. And I struggled with the amount. I can deal with foul language in a horror movie, in a slasher, but it was just to the level and intensity of the way the F-bomb was dropped constantly, just the way the characters talked. And I get it, these were the characters, these were the people he was portraying. And at the end of the day, for me, I wanted something just a little bit more wholesome. I mean, it's weird to say that about a slasher, but like, it just was too much. With Rob Zombie's version, the whole front being completely different, and then the whole back end being just a reboot or like a redo, but with just extreme versions of the characters. Now, again, I did like Danielle Harris, and I did like Scout Taylor Compton. I guess I had trouble with Malcolm McDowell as Dr. Loomis. I just didn't see him as that character as well as Donald Pleasence. I mean, it's hard. And even Scout Taylor as Laurie Strode, obviously Jamie Lee Curtis, and Donald Pleasence versus Malcolm McDowell and Scout Taylor Compton, they're hard to beat. But Rob Zombie knows how to do gore, knows how to do scares, and it is a scary... Michael Myers is scary. He's big, he's looming. I mean, did I like that he had the long hair and the mask was changed so much in that one? I mean, I didn't hate it. I just, I guess you're used to what you're used to, and when they change it, it takes a moment to get used to. But the movie itself is scary. And at the end of the day, this is why Rob Zombie's, both of his, are at the bottom of my ranking. Coming in at number 11, released in 2002, Halloween Resurrection. Yeah. Now this was another one that I was mixed on. I mean, I'll tell you something. When I first saw it in the theater, I liked it. I mean, I was excited for it. I remember being super excited for it coming. And I think at the end of the day, I probably was slightly disappointed, but I did really enjoy it. And at the time, because what was popular at the time, this was during the found footage era, and it was a very found footage feeling film with the cameras, the webcams. I mean, it's definitely dated now. When you look back, 2002 is over 20 years ago. It dates itself. Halloween Resurrection is always going to be dated. And at the end of the day, I have some major issues with the film. One, the route they go with Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, her death, not only her death, the way she was killed off early on in that one, but also what they did to bring Michael Myers back from such a tremendous ending in H2O. I mean, H2O is one of the best endings of the entire franchise. And for many of us, we thought at the end of H2O, when his head gets chopped off, like that was it. Michael Myers was dead and gone. But like anything, like all these movies, Freddy's died, he came back. Jason dies, he comes back. Everyone comes back, right?
Hello, Michael. I knew you'd come. Sooner or later. What took you so long?
And what they needed to do to bring him back for this was just, it was just dumb. I even back then, I was like, this is dumb. But once we kind of got through all of that, erasing what happened at H2O, and we get into the found footage part, I was grooving with it. But, you know, it still is kind of subpar and a basic Michael Myers. And when you throw Busta Rhymes and Tara Banks in with this, like, it was messy. So, like, I mean, I like Busta Rhymes, but he's a better rapper. I mean, that character kind of messes around with Michael Myers in a goofy way.
Let the dangertainment begin. Trick or treat, mother.
As we get to the next batch of ones in this ranking, there's a rise in quality as far as I'm concerned. And this next middle batch, I'll say, they kind of could flip-flop for me. I struggled with ranking these middle, like from like 6 to 10. It really was a struggle to try and pinpoint each one specifically, and I had to really mull over what was dragging each one to each spot. What made me make one stand out against the other one? Because at the end of the day, I really do like these Halloween movies, even some of these commonly stinker ones. Coming in at number 10, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This was released in 1989, and it was the direct sequel to Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And this was where they started really pushing or sneaking in the Thorn cult elements, and it was comical. And even when I was younger, I remember thinking this one was kind of funny. And I'll tell you, the funniest thing for me was watching the entrance of the boot. And I just kept thinking, what the heck's with the boot? And when I seen this as a young kid, I would laugh at it when he gets off the bus and you see the boot, and then the boot's at the end as well.
It came out of nowhere.
Oh my God, we hit a boot! Where's the foot?
One of the other things that drags this one down at the bottom of this group is Rachel and Rachel's death. I mentioned it in videos over the summer, comparing it to, you know, deaths that I didn't like in my Shark rankings. But like Rachel's death, you know, I really like Rachel as a character in the Halloween series, and she's up there with Final Girls, 1980s Final Girls. And for her to die in Halloween 5 after the way she was like the victor in Halloween 4, it just kind of was pointless.
Oh, I wonder what Rachel's hiding behind door number 3. Ba-ba-dum-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da. Billy is going to have to fight off a lot of boys.
I hear a lot of people that gripe about Tina and her character being super extreme as well, and she is annoying. I mean, Tina is goofy, you know, you know, Tina's a mess, but I kind of like her. I mean, she's fun. I did enjoy Tina. I just wish Tina and Rachel could have battled Michael Myers together throughout all of Halloween 5 instead of Rachel dying so early on in the movie and us getting stuck with Tina only. Now, one thing I do like about Halloween 5, it does have a decent soundtrack. There's some cool 80s grunge and rock and roll. But when you combine this with everything they had going on with Jamie Lloyd and Dr. Loomis, like, of all the Halloweens, like, I feel like this is Loomis's, like, worst performance. Not that I hated it, but, like, he was so extreme with Jamie Lloyd. He was so extreme with Danielle Harris, like, where he's looming over her over the bed, like, why don't you say something? Why don't you tell me where he is? You know, he's so dramatic. And I was like, it was just a little over the top with him. And then I didn't like that they muted Jamie that she didn't talk and then she does talk. So, I mean, there was plot holes and just stupidness. Now, there were some great scares. Like, I love the whole, like, them running through the fields with the car chasing them. And, I liked the Halloween party. And it was funny about Halloween 5. It was like, how the third act's a party and it kind of reminds me of Scream before Scream. Not only was, like, that final party scene it just kind of has been redone in other movies, like when I think of the Scary movies, and when I think of, like, Jason versus Freddy, the whole cornfield scene, along with Clown in a Cornfield. It was very similar, all these little parties at the end of movies, at the end of slashers. I did like the mystery and intrigue that was set up with the boot and what was to come, but it took them forever to get to Halloween 6 after Halloween 5, and probably because Halloween 5 was, didn't do as well as compared to Halloween 4. And the ending as well is a little weak. Like, the Halloween 4 ending is way better. And the whole thing with the prison and Michael Myers escaping, and it was kind of so obviously sequel baiting at this point. Coming in at number 9, released in 1995, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. So this is like another dark horse entry. I mean, this one's a weird one. There's things I really like about this one, and then things I really hate about it. So this is another very mixed bag. And one thing that I do like about this, and you'll learn when I do my next Halloween video where I explain something that might be good for the franchise coming up over the next 3 or 4 years. And it's present here in Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And that is the family dynamic. And the Strodes. And not Laurie Strode, but the other Strodes that are in the Halloweens. Yes, maybe cousins or uncles and aunts, long-lost relatives of Laurie Strode. But, like, you have, like, the mom, the dad, the daughter, son, kids. It's a full drawn-out family in this one. And you also have Tommy Doyle in here. And this is Donald Pleasant's last act as well. So there's a lot of good things in here. And I will tell you, as far as The Curse of Michael Myers, they definitely have that fall feeling in here. Like, you could see that the director made an effort for it to really look like fall and feel like fall and feel like Halloween time. And they struggled with that in many of the other movies. Primarily because they're usually filming not during the fall. Now, when I was young, I thought The Curse of Thorn was a cool enough answer. But as I've grown up and gotten older, it's kind of worn out and is... when I've seen where else the franchise has gone with Michael Myers, The Curse of Thorn kind of is on the lower end of, what they did with him. And I will say all the Curse of Thorn stuff in this one, it just made it weaker. The ending, the everything where, they're at the factory or whatever building they're at, where they go to at the end, where Tommy and the final girl and the young boy are all running around in there, and Michael Myers and Loomis are all in there. I know there's multiple endings, and sometimes with this one, like, it blends. But I go with the theatrical cut. And it just, either way. And then, of course, another thing where a character that was beloved from the past, Jamie Lloyd, is killed off early on. I'm kind of not a fan of when they do that. Coming in at number 8, released in 1983, Halloween, Season of the Witch. Okay, so the one Halloween that doesn't have Michael Myers in it, right? So, this one. I mean, technically, I feel like this one should have never been in the Halloween franchise because, I mean, I get the history of it now when I look back and do all my research on all the Halloween movies. John Carpenter had a plan for Halloween. He wanted it to be an anthology, and Michael Myers was really just chapter 1. And this was one of the next chapters. But because of when it was released and, the popularity of slashers, after Halloween 3, people were crying for Michael Myers back. And they ended up getting their wish with Halloween 4. But even though Halloween 3 was a mixed bag when it came out, I was too young to be involved in all that. I was still a young kid, not seeing the Halloweens yet, so I wasn't fazed by it. And when I went back to watch it, when I was going back and watching all the Halloweens, and I knew that Michael Myers wasn't in this one, I said, we're going to give it a chance. It's a Halloween. And I ended up liking it. You know, Tom Atkins, who worked in a lot of John Carpenter films, you know, he was in The Fog. I mean, he just, I enjoyed his character, and I enjoyed this story. And it did have a little bit more science fiction than what I thought a Halloween movie would have. But when you step away from Michael Myers, and when you step out of, you know, the franchise that way, and you just look at Halloween 3 as its own movie, it's a great 1980s horror flick. It's a great story, well acted, cool scares, cool ending. You know, I mean, it's a little long sometimes, a little bit of pacing issues here and there in that one, but I like it. It's classic Halloween. And I figured for my ranking, it's kind of why it smacks right in the middle, because it's kind of a little bit better than some of the stinkier ones, but obviously it can't compete with the best of what Halloween has to offer. These next two really could flip-flop between each other so much, but I had to pinpoint it, and I will tell you why this one sits at the bottom of this trilogy. And that is released in 2021, Halloween Kills. And like many of these sequels to the original Halloween, it's divisive and it's a mixed bag. I mean, Halloween Kills is named appropriately because Michael Myers has the best kills in Halloween Kills. I mean, he is just bloody crazy in this one. And I like that. I liked, you know, the opening scene where he busts out of the burning house and he slaughters the heck out of the, like, half the firefighters in this town, Haddonfield. And, you know, I liked, you know, when he starts going through Haddonfield, working his way towards, you know, his house. But, you know, the kills were brutal. You know, the couple, the older couple that he slaughters in their house, brutal. In the park, where he gets, what's her name? The nurse and all the people from the bar.
You want your mask? Come and get it!
I'm coming for you, Michael.
This one's filmed great. It has great technical sound, and the visuals are really great. But what weighs it down? Number one is the whole evil dies tonight, the rioting, you know, and I guess another thing that is a sign of its time. You know, as that movie was the first one, you know, post-COVID, and post all 2020 with the riots and everything, it gave that vibe. It gave that feeling. And for those of us who lived through that, we didn't want to see it again. And the whole hospital thing again. And, you know, Halloween going in its sequel to a hospital. And Jamie Lee Curtis in a hospital. And it was like, you know, it's been done before. We've seen it. So, like, I kind of was a little tired on that part of it. But another big standout to Halloween Kills for me was that flashback to 1978 and them bringing back Dr. Loomis, which I thought was okay, but I liked the vibe of the 1978 Michael Myers chasing Lonnie Elam in the streets, and just that whole scene was a cool opening. Where it struggled with me was kind of the ending. Like, they kind of just, you know, Karen tricks him, and then it's like he's on the street and it's almost like a gang fight where they're just taking turns beating him. It was just bizarre to me. And Tommy Doyle in this one was rough. I mean, when I think of my favorite Tommy Doyle, I guess, well, obviously the original Tommy Doyle is a little kid, but like when I think of the adult Tommy Doyles, I prefer Paul Rudd over Anthony Michael Hall. I guess Halloween Kills is kind of like that. It's always that middle one. And it, like when you have a trilogy that's kind of pre-written all together, it's the middle one that tends to suffer with trying to not be conclusive because it's going to go into another film. So it always suffers with that stuff. And it did for me as well. Coming in at number 6, the other one that was super close to Halloween Kills is Halloween Ends. And released in 2022. And this was another big divisive one. It seemed to be more divisive over the fans. And, you know, for me, I just liked... What I liked about Halloween Ends was the blend of like Halloween, the original Halloween, with like this Christine thing going on. Like I felt like it was a Christine. Like you have Corey Cunningham that was kind of like that young Arnie. You know, he just kind of gets interested in Michael Myers, and then he just gets consumed by Michael Myers, and then he's becoming like Michael Myers. You know, and I am mixed about Corey Cunningham being like they were setting him up to be the next Michael Myers, but then it was like, for what? Because they killed him, they killed Michael, Halloween's ending, it's supposed to be the final end. So what was really the point? Just because Michael Myers is 64, 65 years old and can't do the kills on his own anymore? Because he was doing pretty fine only 3 years back in Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018 as a fairly older man, and he kicks butt in those movies. But I did like the tension. I like Jamie Lee Curtis.
He killed my daughter. But tonight, I will kill him.
You know, I liked Allison. I liked her having the relationship with Corey. You know, I liked how the movie plays out. I mean, there's scares, there's good tension. The tension isn't always for Michael Myers, but I can tell you what, like that one scene in like the car yard, like I thought was great. I liked that. You know, where the young kids all get it from Michael Myers. Halloween Ends also has a very decent soundtrack. You know, and I don't hate the end. I mean, I feel like it took a whole trilogy, which this really could have been one movie, maybe two. But like to get to Jamie, basically Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers, the entire trilogy of it. And the whole thing with like the parade and Haddonfield putting him down like the garbage destructor thing, like where he's like completely incinerated. And I always think like Halloween H2O had that final ending where they chopped off his head and then they brought him back. And I thought, you know, are they going to bring him back after he went through this thing? And they might. They will. How are they going to do it? Maybe they'll have to do a reboot or a restart. We'll get into that in my next video, by the way. My top 5 in Halloween. And these ones are, you know, a rise above the batch that we just went over. I love all these. And obviously, some of these can switch around in position as well. It's super close as we work our way up to number 1. But coming in at number 5... released in 1981, Halloween 2. So, Halloween 2, I mean, this was the first one that I watched. It very much scared me as a young child. You know, the nurse kill and, well, both nurse kills. But the one where he's holding her and her shoes drop, and then the one in the hot tub, brutal. But I mean, Halloween 2, similar to Halloween Kills, you know, it upped it on the kill factor compared to Halloween 1. You know, complete 80s slasher Halloween 2 totally had... It's funny how Halloween kind of kicked it off, and then Friday the 13th kind of was influenced, obviously, by Halloween. But I feel like Halloween 2 was somewhat influenced by Friday the 13th. Because, like, Halloween 2 is like the Friday the 13th version of Halloween. You know, and Donald Pleasance, you know, still running strong in this one. Jamie Lee Curtis. You know, I mean, I think the big thing with Halloween 2 is it really just is an echo or a repeat of Halloween 1. Now, at the time, or when I saw it when I was young, you know, I didn't know how tired out I would get of the whole in the hospital scene, because it seems to be a trending theme within the entire franchise. But, you know, it's scary. It's a scary setting, especially like this hospital. It seemed like it was half empty, and at night with all the lights out, it was creepy. And Jamie Lee Curtis is injured and limping, and she's slow. You know, I mean, there's great tension in this one. And the music as well. I mean, it's the same music that's in the first one, but just amped up even more. And Michael Myers is so brutal in this one. I mean, very brutal. I mean, brutal with the kills. And I think at the time, this being the one that introduced the idea of Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode being Michael Myers' sister. You know, when I was young, I thought it was so cool. You know, he's chasing his sister. It's scary. You know, and over time, as it's evolved, as we've gone through timeline after timeline, and they've put it in, taken it out, you know, maybe the sister thing has worn thin. So for as much as I love Halloween 2 and think, you know, it's obviously in the top 5, but I really wonder if maybe had they not done an extension of the same night and maybe came back after a couple of years, since it was a couple of years since they had filmed, I mean, it would have been easier probably to pick up 3 or 4 years later than trying to make Jamie. It's so obvious that it's not the same night when you look at Jamie Lee Curtis. Like her hair, it's like definitely a wig, and she just, her frame just seems a little bit different. You know, just, I mean, it's only 3 years, but you can just tell it's not the same time frame. Coming in at number 4, released in 1988, the 10-year anniversary, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So as I already stated, after they tried doing one without Michael Myers, the fans were clawing for Michael Myers, and what an appropriate time 10 years later for Michael Myers to come back. Now, Halloween 4, you know, they brought back Donald Pleasance, who we also thought, you know, did he die in Halloween 2 as well? Because Michael and Dr. Loomis were burning up pretty good. Now, Dr. Loomis is back. He's got burn scars. And this one, similar to Halloween 2, is very much an echo of the first one. But one thing I like about it is they kind of went back to their basics a little bit. You know, they kind of focused on Michael Myers showing up and, you know, coming on Halloween night and going after his niece. Now, it seemed like this is the first time that they kind of went down a different route where, all right, Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't going to be in it. We're not going to do Laurie Strode. So, you know, we still want to do the family thing. So they had to create this type of character and put her daughter in a foster home and all that. It worked for me. I mean, at the end of the day, I loved Rachel. So I liked Officer Ben Meeker. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, and I wonder how I would rank him against Officer Brackett. I feel like Meeker definitely just seemed a little bit stronger, took Dr. Loomis a little bit more serious. Obviously, the town has dealt with Michael Myers, and, you know, they were leery of him already. I felt like Halloween 4 definitely was very scary, and I saw that at a young age as well. You know, and Danielle Harris and I are very close in age bracket, so like I was her age at the time, and it's scary, you know. I mean, this is the first one where the little kid is more of the star, because Lindsay and Tommy Doyle in the first one, they were kind of just supporting characters or side characters, but Danielle Harris was like 11 years old and like taking on the main role. I mean, she pretty much was the final girl right along there with Rachel.
And I do have to say, I'm pretty impressed with Danielle Harris's performances between Halloween 4 and Halloween 5. For such a young child to give such a great demonstration of fear, and it was a very physical role as well. I don't know how she did it, but props to Danielle Harris. And I'm really hoping we see her in any future installments of Halloween, even if she doesn't play Jamie Lloyd. We know she came back for Annie Brackett, so she could come again.
And Michael Myers is brutal in this one. I mean, he murders an entire police station of people. You know, I like the whole Rachel's boyfriend and then his girlfriend, and obviously the shirt. You know, I just thought that Halloween 4 was very dark and scary, had a good vibe to it. And I also felt like it had a strong ending as well. The whole truck and the shooting him and him falling down in a hole and all that. You know, it was a decent ending. And it was kind of back to very similar to the first one where he gets shot at the end and not burned. And Halloween 4 is up there with 1980s slashers. And that's why it comes in for number 4. Coming in at number 3. Released in 2018, Halloween, don't know what number it is by then, maybe 9 or 10, but the Legacy sequel, 40 years later, Jamie Lee Curtis back in the seat again. So I think with this one, even though it was only a 10-year wait, it seemed longer. Like the distance between Halloween 2 and Halloween 2018 seemed like forever. It seemed like the longest wait that we had for Michael Myers. And I was ready for it. I was super pumped about Halloween 2018. I saw it in the theater. And I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a great premise. You know, I was like, okay, so they're going to erase everything that they've done, even Halloween 2, which that was a little bit of a pill to swallow. Like, you're gonna get rid of Halloween 2 and Halloween 4 and Halloween H2O, like all of it's gone, right? So it was good, but then certain things that they did in this one, okay? The big glaring mess up out of Halloween 2018 was the new Loomis. I like Dr. Sartain. I like the character. I like the actor of what he was playing or how he was acting. But where this character goes at the end of Halloween 2018 was just completely baffling and stupid to me. Why? I remember when I watched it the first time, I just thought that was dumb. And I didn't let it bother me too much because I was completely engorged with everything else that was going on in Halloween 2018. I liked the documentary characters, Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer as Karen, her husband. I mean, they were all fun. I mean, he was funny, a little bit too funny, but he was funny. And then granddaughter Allison, and then the whole new crew of her friends, and the babysitter, you know, and the little kid that she babysits, and he's a smart aleck.
And I really enjoyed Will Patton as Officer Hawkins.
You know, I mean, Halloween just had some great chemistry with everything else. It's just Dr. Sartain pulling his crap at the end was just so dumb. When I think about why this one's in slot 3 and not slot 2, it definitely is the Sartain thing. You know, the mystery, the intensity, everything else about this movie was great. The David Gordon Green trilogy as a whole, I do like it. It has some glaring weaknesses, but I felt like overall it's a decent watch. And when you watch all 3 films, you know, it's like a trilogy. And Michael Myers and Jamie Lee Curtis has one last giant hoorah.
You can feel it, can't you? It's a part of you, Michael. It's a part of you. Say something. Say something, Michael. Say something!
Coming in at number 2, and maybe this is just a product of my age, a product of my time, of how I came up with this franchise, but it is Halloween H2O 1998. the Scream ripoff H2O comes out a couple years later and totally has the Scream vibe. Scream characters, Scream sounds, Scream everything. Everything about this was very Screamish. But it still was Halloween. And we had Jamie Lee Curtis back after her little hiatus, not being involved in the Thorn Cult timeline. So with her coming back, you know, I mean, it made sense of how this all unraveled. When you think about it, Donald Pleasance is the first timeline, all the first 6 movies. But then when he died, it was like, how are they going to bring Michael Myers back without him? Well, they needed her again, and she was already out. So they wanted to bring her back, and they did. And I liked her portrayance of Laurie Strode as middle-aged, you know, her dynamic with Josh Hartnett, you know, John Tate. You know, I really enjoyed their characters. So Jamie Lee Curtis, she had to reinvent herself. She didn't want to be Laurie Strode anymore, so she was Carrie Tate, and she was hiding off at this like boarding school, private school, where she's the principal and her son and his friends are, you know, teenagers. I just liked this one. I mean, Michael Myers and their battle at the end of this, you know, I mean, I think for me the strength is the end. I like the opening scene and the ending scene, so in the middle it does get a little bit weak, but once we get things rolling at the school, and then you have LL Cool J in this one as well. I loved his character. You know, he brought some coolness to, you know, his dynamic with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Tate, you know, Josh Hartnett. You know, he was a comic relief, but he also has his moment as well with Michael Myers. And this one, you know, it has its weaknesses. Obviously, the mask, the person who played Michael Myers, some of it being like a lot of Jamie Lee Curtis just having images of him. Things where like he has access to kill people and doesn't. I mean, there's definitely some mess ups in this one. But, you know, I like the tension that was brought out with, you know, him, the darkness of the school, the whole school's gone off to Yosemite and there's just a few of them left. I really enjoy the chase scene where they're chasing, he's chasing John Tate and his girlfriend down in the woods and then to the school, and the whole, like, the first time that Jamie Lee Curtis sees Michael Myers in the window, that whole scene. I mean, it was great tension, great intensity with that one. All right, coming in at number 1, Halloween, the original. Nothing. I very rarely see people who have rankings, and this one's not at the top. But for me, it's definitely at the top. I mean, it has the rest beat out. It's the original. I mean, John Carpenter, I just did a whole thing on Jaws versus Halloween, where I get into a lot of the things that Jaws and Halloween have in common. But it's like, so we went over a lot of this recently, but it's just, there's so much intensity, scares, you know, the whole POV shots, the minimalist stuff, you know, Michael Myers being used in the right way to create the scares, you know, everything that was the basic of this premise. A serial killer escapes out of a mental hospital, sneaks into the suburbs, and starts killing. I mean, that's terrifying. And the way this plays out and the way it happens with the babysitters and the young kids in this one, you had some great characters. Donald Pleasance, of course, plays his role as the original looming old man that knows everything about Michael Myers and can kind of filtrate the scare into us. But, I mean, Halloween's just a great movie. A great slasher. And I've talked ad nauseum, you know, of how iconic it is and how influential it's been. It was in my influential series as well, so it's just a no-brainer. Halloween's number 1. So I would just love it if any of you guys would drop your rankings in the comments. You know, what do you guys think of this order? Are you happy with it? I mean, it is subjective. I mean, it's my opinion. Sometimes it changes. I feel like I wrote the list out and I had them flip-flopped around, and I will flip-flop them around. I mean, overall, the Halloween franchise is a great franchise. I'm looking forward to my going into this franchise a little bit in detail in a different way, where we talk about how this franchise kind of has been on recycle, and I have some ideas of what they need to do for the 50-year anniversary, maybe to hopefully bring Michael Myers back. Now, I know they're bringing him back in a video game, but there'll be movies again. And with the 50-year anniversary coming up, I'm thinking there should be a movie that year. We'll see.